I'm attorney Nick Alcock. I want to talk a little bit about license suspensions. And there has been a really radical change in the way that license suspensions are handled in Arizona. Now, back in the day, before the law changed recently, there were really three different types of license suspension. There's a B, an A, and a C suspension. A B suspension is typically from a DUI. So if you're pulled over for a DUI and you received a suspended license and you get pulled over again, you could be facing a mandatory minimum of 2 days in jail for that B suspension. A suspension is when you are suspended for a period of time and you were not eligible to reinstate. A C suspension was if you were pulled over and your license was suspended but you were eligible to reinstate. That's kind of simplifying the law, but that's more or less what it is. All of those designations have been thrown out, and now there really isn't a B, an A, and a C suspension. There's just a simple suspension scheme, which is really just has turned the whole driving on suspended license case into just a fine, and you're not looking really at a great deal of jail time. You can go to jail. It is a Class 1 misdemeanor. Certainly it's possible that you can go to jail, but it is not mandatory anymore. Now, if you go into court and your license is suspended and it's suspended to a point where you can't reinstate it, your fine's probably going to be in the $575 range, something along those lines. If you go into court and you can actually reinstate your license, then you may learn that if you do reinstate your license, then the fine drops enormously. It depends on the judge. Some judges will drop it a couple $100. Some judges will drop it all the way down to a little bit over $100. It just depends on the individual court. So there is a big difference in fine if you can get your license back. If your license is so suspended that there's no way for you to get it back before the next court date, then you're looking at that $572 fine, thereabouts. Depends on surcharges, and every court is a little bit different. So if you're hearing from somebody, and I know that there's a lot of misinformation out there about driving on a suspended license, it's because the law changed. And so if you're hearing that you can go to jail for driving on a suspended license, well, you could, and you still technically can, but it isn't mandatory anymore. And again, arm yourself with the information that you need. If you're facing a criminal defense matter, you really need to do your research, and you can always give us a call, 602-989-5000. If you just want to speak over the phone, you want to talk with an experienced criminal defense attorney, just give us a call and we'll tell you the straight story, even if you don't want to hire us. We're here as a resource for you, and we're more than happy to give you our time. Again, 602-989-5000. If you've been pulled over for driving on a suspended license and you're hearing that you can go to jail for 2 days, 10 days, what have you, technically that's true, but what we're seeing is judges basically just enforcing a fine. The best news is that if you do pay that fine, then you're not going to be looking at a like term suspension. So if you were suspended for 8 months and then you get pulled over for driving on a suspended license again, you're not going to be suspended for the same period of time. You just pay the fine and basically you're done. It's a little bit of a simplification, but the nice thing is that driving on a suspended license in Arizona is not nearly as harsh as it used to be, and thank goodness, because a lot of good people were basically really put in a bad situation where they couldn't get their license back because they kept getting pulled over, and then they would get another suspension for a like period of time, and they would just rack up suspensions for years and years and years. Now hopefully that won't happen anymore, and we'll just be able to get people back on the road after paying a fine, and then they can get on with their lives. Any questions? Again, 602-989-5000 is our number, 602-989-5000. My name's Nick Alcock, and I'm the owner of Alcock & Associates. Thanks so much.